I have a pertinent sense to convey my emotions because, very contrary to the course that I'm studying right now in Hindu college, English literature, I feel I lack the articulateness to actually present what's happening in that mind of mine, what to present what the person in front of the mirror is really thinking. You get what I mean? There's a huge gap between me and the person in front of the mirror, and we are constantly trying to understand each other. But that actually leads to a certain psychoanalysis of sorts, something that I cannot put into words, something that I can possibly never explain. But my craft, acting, that's when it enters. That's when acting plays a role in my life which goes beyond any commerce, any business. It goes beyond the financial aspects or the social aspects of acting. And it just becomes an extremely personal form, a therapy, a psychoanalysis of sorts, as I just mentioned to me. I feel craft, writing, poetry, arts, all of these, they have been pertinent forms for me to express myself in ways, I don't know, maybe words have failed to. That's where performance enters for me. That's what is happening today on stage. I'd like to actually begin with a very short crux of a poem that I wrote many, many years ago, which becomes my knight in the shining armor. It becomes those 3 a.m. thoughts, that chaos in your mind, but just a form of catharsis. How do I tell you, mother, that these nights, they are the fights? I keep screaming in the guise of my dreaming. I don't know what to say. I don't have the courage to face the day, to wake up and fight myself in silence, in the unexpressed violence of my own, where my mind becomes my cage and the world is a stage. And I'm just a maze, lost, ashamed, fearful. Where we come from, I believe I come from struggle, I come from hustle, I come from possibilities, I come from choices, and paradox of choices, perhaps. That feeling when you have the choice to be anything in the world, but the pressure to be everything all at once in the world. I was 12 years old when I saw the dream to become an actor, and perhaps with absolutely no guidance, no resources, nothing that could guide me to that very strange world, the world that seems full of glamour, the world where apparently you need to have somebody to push you through and outsiders don't really make it, just quote unquote. At the age of 12, I just, of course, I'm Gen Z, so there was social media, and I just went on to Instagram, Facebook, everything, and searched for auditions, looked for where can I start, whom to go to, where to give auditions, and everything kept falling into place. But at that point, all I needed was strength and support. Support I had in abundance, but strength I lacked. And in a very introspective sense, even today I would say I lack the strength. A lot of times I'm still stuck with a psychological lock of mine. Maybe it's not that deep, but to me it is. To me, it is a cage. Three very scary words. Log kya kahenge? I always wondered how to break the news to my teachers, my classmates, everybody around me that I want to become an actor, and perhaps to make it even difficult, coming from a household, coming from a place, an educational background, institution that had whatsoever no connection to that industry. At that time, and today actually, it is my fifth TED talk, and not even a single talk when I've not spoken about this. I've always said that my parents have been the air beneath my wings. They supported me in a time when I genuinely did not know if I needed the support, if I needed the resources, if I needed the connections. I just did not know. And today's talk is actually extremely special because I remember 8, 9 years back, I've spent most of my childhood in these four walls of Motilal Nehru College because perhaps my mother, Dr. Vandana Sethi, is a professor here. And I remember in my little pink frock and my Barbie phone, I used to come with her and sit in classes and just wait for her outside in the parking, in the canteen, and I just know every bit of this college. And today to come back as a speaker, it definitely it's a pinch me moment. It's a full circle moment, but today this stage feels even more personal. It feels I feel even more responsible because I take this stage to thank my mother for being the woman she is. I just hope and pray I can be as perfect and as lovely as she is someday. And I think all of us feel that for our mothers, right? So, thank you, mother. Thank you, Dr. Vandana Sethi, for teaching me how to exist, for being a professor to the world, but to be first. And taking this conversation on strength forward, I think I think maybe it's just a student thing. I'm 20 years of age and I'm in a room full of students. I feel it is so important to just take the first step to anything. Today, so many people come up to me from Delhi University itself asking me that they want to begin acting, modeling, content creation, all sorts of creative professions, but where do they take the first step? And even if they are convinced with their craft and art to take the first step, how will people perceive them? What will we do? What will they do? And what will happen? But I think the question of where we come from, that's not the correct question. The correct question perhaps lies in what parts of ourselves do we really want to keep and what parts of ourselves from where we come from do we really want to define. I believe I come from strength, I come from weakness, I come from power, I come from chaos, I come from academics, I come from discipline, I come from art, I come from creativity. There are times in my life when I am in rooms where I am too academic to be seen as creative. There are times in my life where I'm in rooms where I am too creative to be seen as an academically driven person. And there are times, just like today, where I am an amalgamation of my creativity, of my discipline, of my academics, all at once. I'm particularly irked by, not even irked, I am guilty of doing this, but I always have that question. Whenever somebody asks me, introduce myself, anywhere, job placements, auditions, interviews, anywhere, who are you? I always answer in nouns. This is my name, this is where I live, this is what I do, this is my college. But I always wonder, although I do that, I always wonder why am I doing this? Because I really want the strength, the courage, the moral clarity to be able to answer in words. I am progressing, I am trying, I am growing, I am thriving, and I'm striving towards excellence, towards anything. There's this Japanese art form. I'm not sure how many of us are aware about it. It's called kintsugi. So when pottery breaks, that actually becomes the unique selling proposition of that pottery in Japan because they paint those cracks in gold. They do not mend the cracks, nothing. They just paint them in cracks, and that's what makes those products, those pieces of art sell. And that's what I thrive in. There's this quote I recently read, actually a picture, wherein there was a bird with no cage around it, just two sticks in front of his two eyes. And somebody was asking him that why aren't you flying? And the bird was like, no, how can I fly? I'm caged. And the rest of the people were like, no, the cage is just in front of your eyes and the world is free. And that's what I feel. I am guilty of feeling too much. I am guilty of thinking too much. I am guilty of being sensitive, being vulnerable. But again, that brings me to a very beautiful show on Netflix I saw recently, and I think maybe some of us have seen it. It's called Never Have I Ever. It came out many, many years back. And there's this particular scene in that show wherein the protagonist, Devi, speaks to her therapist and tells her that I cry too much, I feel too much, why am I feeling so upset and happy? Every emotion, why am I feeling it on such an heightened scale? I love that scene. It's just so close to my heart. Devi's therapist tells her that your beauty lies in the fact, of course, not physical beauty, apart from the fact that the actress who played Devi is extremely beautiful, her cerebral beauty. It lies in the fact that you feel deeply. You feel deeply, perhaps, which is why you perceive the world so deeply. You understand everything around so deeply, so beautifully, and that is where you come from. That is also where I come from. I do not like to be categorized in boxes of black and white and pinks and purples and yellows and blues. I like to thrive in the spaces between, the boxes between, the gray areas. The next time somebody asks me who you are, genuinely, who are you? Okay, we understood you're a student, you're acting, whatever. But who are you at your core? And my answer would just be that I am an amalgamation of all dimensions and perspectives of myself. There is no one me. These are my fragmented identities. That is my fragmented self, as Sigmund Freud likes to put it. But that is me. And at the core of our being, on a very psychological level, on a very scientific level, the conscious is divided into id, ego, and superego. If any of us are interested in reading psychology and have ever come across Sigmund Freud's writing. So, why live in a society that tells you that it's okay to be imperfect and it's okay to make mistakes, but punishes you for doing the same? Why live in a society that asks you to choose a linear route in life and choose who you want to be and what you want to do? Because I thrive in the choices, as I mentioned. And that is where I come from. I come from chaos. And again, to summarize, to put out all the chaos inside my head, I would like to also end with some little poetry of mine. She who once dreamt of Snow White and the elf is now locked up in her shelf. The shelf of her expectations, her pressure, her fear, yet with a mind so clear. She who wakes up every day to witness the bright, sunny May, with a mind full of darkness and doubt, she who never lets herself fall out. In a masquerade of her own thoughts, she who looks up to the clouds, the rains, the skies, the rainbows, the unicorns, the stars, the sun, the moon, the wings, her wings, waiting to be spread out, away from the bout, in a world of her own where her ambition is shown, without any moan. She who hides behind her marks, waiting for the sun to shine, waiting for the moment to call success mine. Thank you.